One national guy says Hunter Greene, he ain't available no more. One local guy says he's probably on the way out the door. We'll make sense of it on today's Locked On Reds.
You are Locked On Reds, your daily Cincinnati Reds podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hi there, I'm Stephen Offenbaker. He's Jeff Carr. Thanks for being an everydayer. Thanks for checking out Locked On Reds. Today's episode is brought to you by Kalshi. For a limited time, download the Kalshi app and use the code Locked On to get up to $500 in bonus credits when you trade just $25. A little bit later in today's show, we're going to be talking about which, if any, of the expiring contracts for this year we would like to see the Reds renew. We'd like to see the Reds extend, sign that guy, instead of trade him away. And Jeff, I think we're both just in agreement. We're going to tell everybody why it's Nathaniel Lowe. Also, a little bit later, we're going to be talking about the value that rentals can bring. We're going to dig through that. We're going to talk about how teams can benefit from that. We're going to talk about how it's worked out for some teams in the past. But where we are going to begin is with Hunter Greene Gate. Is he being traded? Is he not being traded? Is he on the outs with the Cincinnati Red? Is the relationship frayed beyond repair? Conflicting reports this morning. We have local beat writers like Mark Sheldon writing that is a 50-50 proposition. We have Hunter Greene ranked number 2 on Mark Sheldon's list of guys that could be dealt. And then we've got Bob Nightingale. Now, I know. It's Bob Nightingale. But Bob Nightingale says, wait, not so fast, my friend. Hunter Greene is no longer being made available, according to 4 other Major League Baseball executives that are talking to Nightingale. That's big news, Jeff, because that kind of changes things a little bit that we've been talking about. And there's 2 possibilities in my mind, Jeff, that's what has happened here. Either they were getting phone calls and Nick Krall was getting offered like a bag of peanuts and a subscription to, how to be a GM quarterly for Hunter Greene. Or, and I saved this during show prep because I wanted to put it on you right here, right now. You didn't have time to think about it. Or there's another deal for a starting pitcher that has materialized that has made the Reds pull back Hunter Greene, and they're going to trade somebody else instead.
That is an interesting point because we have seen some interesting rankings. The Athletic has Nick Lodolo as the 27th best player available, talking about players, period. Position players and pitchers. 27th best player available on the market this deadline. Sure. Take him. I'm done. I'm done with the finger trying to figure out, and that sounds like I just cut somebody off in traffic or something, but I'm done with the blister issue on his index finger. I really, if somebody's going to trade a reasonable package of prospects or players or whatever it might be for him, do that deal. And I would like that. I like that we have officially called this a gate, though. Hunter Greene Gate. Kind of feels like that's what that's been for a few years, like the reports of the relationship having been frayed between him and some folks within the organization, and that reporting coming from a guy who currently lists Hunter Greene as the second most likely player who could be playing his final games in a Cincinnati Reds uniform this weekend. Mark Sheldon is who we're talking about here. It's wild to see that this is where we've gotten. That's why I'm saying it's conflicting reports, because usually we go with the local guys over the national guys. And so there might still be something to this, in that it could be posturing that Bob Nightingale is hearing. There are teams that are zeroing in on a possible deal for Hunter Greene. So they want to make it known to the rest of the league. Don't you come coming for our player here. We want Hunter Greene. But I like your thinking here. Is it Nick Lodolo?
It's interesting. 2 things. One, today's episode, as I mentioned, is brought to you by Kalshi. And on the Kalshi marketplace yesterday, the odds of Hunter Greene finishing the season as a Cincinnati Red was a 50% proposition. What did that number move to today?
92% staying in
92% that he stays a Cincinnati Red. So very interesting that the market over there moved that fast. And we see this article from Bob Nightingale today. Secondly, I'm glad you pinged on Lodolo. That's where I was hoping you would go. Good job. Because I wonder, and I've wondered this for a little bit now, that if there was a team out there who went to their medical staff and said, hey, do you think if we picked up this dude, there's something you could do about this blister? And I wonder if there's a contender out there that has a medical crew that has told their GM, told their president of baseball operations, you go get this guy and you get him cheap. We can make this work with this blister. We've got some ideas. I just wonder, because you know how I feel about the Reds medical staff and how they've dealt with things over the last few years. I just wonder if there's another, we talk about guys with change of scenery deals. We talk about getting a fresh set of eyes on a problem. I wonder if we get a fresh set of medical staff on this problem, if suddenly Nick Lodolo's blister goes away and a team got a deal on an ace level pitcher, if they can fix that blister, because that's what we're talking about. You fix the blister, you get an ace level pitcher. You don't fix the blister, you get a crapshoot of how long.
Unusable.
Right.
Yeah. It's hilarious because for a moment, take yourself out of just the dome of Reds country that we live in, because those of us who are Reds fans hear the word blister and immediately go, oh gosh, we are so absolutely hurt. We are jaded. We are I'm trying to think of the word. Like, the word blister has a very fearful power.
It's a
over
trigger
us,
word,
Reds
sir.
fans.
It is
If
a
you
trigger
get
word.
It's a trigger word. If you get outside of Reds country, they're like, his problems. What? Nah, we can fix that. What? It's not an arm problem. It's not a shoulder problem. It's not even a lower body issue. It's a blister. Yeah, we'll take them off your hands. Cool. See ya. Like, I'd be fine with the trade for Nick Lodolo at this point, because I don't know what we're going to get out of him the rest of the way. Like, I don't think that there is a non-zero chance he retires, because I still think there's plenty of work left to do. Is he going to be a relief pitcher? What's this new grip going to look like? But, like, how on earth could an opposing general manager look at the reports of him working on a brand new grip for his best pitch and say, yeah, I want some of that. I want that on my roster. Like, if there is somebody like that, then Nick Krall, run, not walk to that phone. Like, please, because if the Athletic is right and he is a top 30 player available at the deadline, that means you could get something pretty nice for him. And if we're talking about a trade package commensurate to like what we thought of Spencer Steer, or what we even thought partially of Hunter Greene, oh man, you could win the deadline real quickly. And that's the kind of deal that he needs to be making.
What do we think Nick Krall's cell phone is like? You may be too young to remember this.
I hope he needs to.
There was a time you could order a cell phone for your kids and it just had 4 buttons on it and you could like pre-program the numbers in, and that's the only thing it could do. It could only call those 4 buttons that you push. I wonder if he's got a phone like that and it's like Phil's office, it's like his house. The third one is maybe some place to order food, and the fourth
and the Mariners. The Mariners are the fourth.
Yep, exactly right.
He's got 4 buttons. He gets to call 4 people.
He can only call Jerry. Yeah. He can only call Jerry.
That's what it is when it comes up on his phone. It says Jerry. He's on a first name basis over there. But no, like, I think this is wild to see. It's a little bit, I'm not going to lie, Steve, this is a little bit encouraging to me because of what we were talking about, of what the Reds could get for Hunter Greene. I didn't trust Nick Krall to get that done. I trust him more to keep Hunter Greene than to trade him. And as we know, he's approaching every trade within a vacuum. And so when you approach this trade within a vacuum, the vacuum is working really well by not trading Hunter Greene here.
Yeah, listen, I don't think there's anybody that wants the talent of Hunter Greene traded to another team.
No.
I think that there are those of us that love baseball and the strategy behind the art of making the deal for the trade, right? Like, you could, if you were good at your job as a general manager or president of baseball operations in Major League Baseball, and someone gifted you a affordably cost-controlled Hunter Greene and said, go restart this team and trade this guy to be your first big move. There are guys out there that could get a franchise-changing deal for Hunter Greene. I don't believe that Nick Krall is one of those guys. So when this stuff started coming out, I'm accepting of it just because I know how fractured this relationship is. And for the everydayers, the beat writers, Jeff and I, all of us have been tiptoeing around this thing for a couple seasons now because we just couldn't get two-source independent verification. And that came this last offseason when Mark Sheldon wrote his article that we got the second source independent verification. So this relationship with Hunter Greene is problematic. And, Hunter Greene's going to go out there and pitch, but there is no love between the organization and between Hunter Greene right now. So I'm okay with him keeping him around, but this is going to be a thing for the life of this contract. As long as he's in Cincinnati, we're going to be talking about, do they believe in Hunter Greene? Do they trust Hunter Greene? What's the relationship like with Hunter Greene? Because now it's out there. So somewhere along the way, this is going to become more of a problem. Maybe the next guy can trade Hunter Greene.
My hope is that they're all sitting around a boardroom table and they've got this offer up on the board, that offer, they've got all the offers listed. And Nick Krall's like, all right, what about this one? And everybody's like, no, like in unison. Like you imagine 10, 15 people going, no. All right, he's not available. And they're just going to wait until he shows some more health. He shows some more consistency, pitches the rest of the year. And then maybe we talk about this next offseason. But right now, I always thought it was too early. And I really hope that the reports from Bob Nightingale tend to be true, and we see him make his next start, which is probably next Wednesday, I think.
There's a first time for everything.
There's a first time for everything. But I know this, there are rentals that the Reds have to offer, and there's a lot of folks that are poo-pooing the possible return coming back. Coming up next, we'll talk about why that doesn't mean that the Reds should just not trade them.
A big thank you to our friends at Amazon for this limited break. This back-to-school season, spend less on your kids with Amazon. We all know how crazy the back-to-school shopping experience can be. It starts with a few items on the list, and then suddenly you're shopping for supplies, clothes, lunch gear, tech, and about 10 other things you didn't see coming. It all adds up fast. When your kid's definition of need for back-to-school shopping is a lot different than your definition of need, somehow the list just keeps getting longer every time they look at it. Explaining the need versus want conundrum this time of year has just become an annual part of the process. So remember, with Amazon's low back-to-school prices, you spend less on your kids because every dollar that you don't spend on them is a dollar you haven't spent on them. Shop back to school at Amazon and spend less on your kids.
Thank you so much for making Locked On Reds part of your day. We invite you to check out the Locked On Reds Everydayer Club. We have a link down in the show description below, or you can just type in lockedonreds.supercast.com and learn more. You get an ad-free audio podcast feed, and you get access to some cool stuff that we're going to be doing here after the trade deadline ends. So make sure you go check that out today. I see. Real quick, before we do jump into the rental side of this too, there's one other thought process that I have, and I hope it's not part of this equation, but there's a small voice in my brain that says don't dismiss this. What if Bob and Phil just completely nixed the idea of trading Hunter Greene because they're like, but no, the fans will not like it.
It would not be unprecedented. I mean, done it with lesser players. Bob kept Billy Hamilton around here on purpose when we were going to get something for him in Cincinnati, and Bob shut that down. There's some logic to it, Jeff. I mean, Bob and Phil will do it because of the reason you just cited, but there is some logic that even if the relationship is fractured, you keep that talent around here until, if Hunter Greene miraculously puts together a full season and then you're able to trade him after another year, you can really get a big return while he still has a couple affordable years of team control. So his market's not peaked. So there's a lot of lanes where it makes sense to keep him despite what the relationship is right now. So I'm okay with it, but I would not put it past Phil to have made that phone call.
To be clear, like the relationship between Hunter Greene and men wearing suits and ties and women wearing professional attire in the Reds front office is frayed. You, me, most Reds fans love Hunter Greene. And so Bob and Phil have a point. I'm not going to lie. I don't think that this is the case of them torpedoing what should be an obviously good deal. I think this is the case of them saving face a little bit in a situation that actually makes sense for them to save some face. So I really hope that this continues to be true, just because I don't know. I don't know that I trust the return coming back for a Hunter Greene trade more than I trust them keeping Hunter Greene, because it's that other adage, right? The Family Guy bit. It was just like, oh my gosh, I could have a boat or I could have this mystery present. This mystery present could be anything. It could even be a boat. You know, Hunter Greene, you could trade him for a bunch of prospects, one of which could even be as good as Hunter Greene. So, you know, that could be the case. These rentals, however, the Reds have multiple expiring contracts, whether you're looking at Brady Singer or Tyler Stephenson. You have the mutual option with Eugenio Suarez, but I tend to think the Reds don't pick that up. You have the mutual option with Pierce Johnson, a little bit more likely to pick that up, but I think that you could still get something decent for him on the trade market. The rentals and stuff like that is what we're talking about here. I think that there are a lot of folks that are like, oh, if that's all that the Reds have to trade, then they're not going to get anything back of value. I disagree. I think that the Reds have gotten plenty of value back. It might not be exactly what we're talking about, because I feel like if you trade, let's say you trade a relief pitcher, you're not going to get back a guy who is in AAA ready to go, ready to help your team right now. If you are, that's probably another quadruple A player, and the Reds have plenty of those on the roster. But if you could package a couple of those guys together to get a guy like that, that's an interesting idea. But also, just getting those lottery ticket prospects that you have for multiple years of team control is much better than holding on to a rental guy for the rest of this season, him going in free agency, the Reds not making the playoffs, and nothing happening.
So, you know, the key to the rentals, do we trade them? Do we keep them? What do we do? And, you know, we're going to get into a little bit of this in the next segment, but you list all those guys, and I whoever it was last year that leaked the pictures of the dry erase boards in the GABP conference room, could we get that again? I would like to know what's on the dry erase boards right now. Could we get that? Because if it were me, I would have a list that's the guys that are on expiring deals right now. And next to that list, you know, realistic possibility, do we want to extend them? Followed by realistic possibility of extending them. And if the player doesn't have two check marks,
we actually do that?
Yeah. If the player doesn't have two check marks next to their name, and you're the guy in charge of building out this roster and putting players on this team, you have an obligation to trade those guys, because if you can't keep them or you don't want to keep them, get whatever you can for them to make this team better next. It's really not a complicated process. So I hope that there's somebody, and more than just an intern, but I really only have faith in the interns over there at this point. Somebody making that list for Nick Krall.
Yeah, I think that what is really key, and we'll probably see in the next coming weeks, is that there are different guys like Hector Rodriguez who you could get. I mean, the Reds traded Tyler Naquin and Philip Deal, which I think if you were to poll 10 Reds fans, maybe 2 of them remember who Philip Deal is, for Hector Rodriguez and Jose Acuna from the Mets. Jose Acuna is not yet close to the major leagues. I think he's getting there. Maybe next year could be something that we're talking about him. He's a right-handed pitcher. But Hector Rodriguez is a very interesting bat. His defense isn't very encouraging, but his bat is. And we all know that the Reds we need bats. So hopefully he comes up and he can show his stuff. Right. He's hit, defense. I think he hit his 28th homer in AAA. Yeah, really, defense. I think he hit his 28th homer in AAA this week, and that's a far step ahead of where he was last year. So his bat
just a quick side quest. Are you surprised that he hasn't got a look yet? It's very interesting that he hasn't got a look at. And are they purposefully not starting his clock till they see what the new CBA looks like and what the new team control parameters are? And I wonder if that's the thing that's holding him back.
The business side of my brain says that makes sense. The fan side of my brain hates that. But I think that there's a non-zero chance that that's the reason, because we keep seeing Ivan Johnson, and no offense to Ivan Johnson, but what I've seen so far, I don't know how much more I need to see. Like, I mean, he just got started. There might be more to it. This is what we did with Blake Dunn, where we might have jumped to conclusions too quickly. And I really hope there was an injury report on him that, you know, he's might need to have surgery. That could be Tommy John surgery. We might be not seeing Blake Dunn for a long time, which stinks because he was really starting to turn into something for the Redlegs. But that being said, like, I feel like there's more to see from Hector Rodriguez than from Ivan Johnson. And we've already seen Ivan Johnson called up, sent down, called up. When are we going to see Hector Rodriguez? I think it's going to be here shortly after the deadline, because you're going to trade these guys that are filling out the lineup in certain spots that Hector Rodriguez will then take over. Because will Rodriguez play a corner outfield spot? Probably. Will he play DH? Probably. He's not going to play too many other spots. I know he initially came up as an infielder through the Mets organization, but I don't foresee him playing anywhere on the infield unless it's like an emergency basis. So I would like to see him called up and inserted into the lineup. Can he be something for the Reds next year? That's going to be a lot of fun to see. But you get that guy because you trade a rental. You trade an expiring contract, and then he moves his way up to the minor leagues for a few years, and he's ready to go. Like, that's what we're looking for on a one-off basis, even with these relief pitchers. I mean, the Twins just acquired AJ Minter from the New York Mets for 2 prospects who nobody is saying, like, oh my gosh, these guys are amazing. But one of them is the son of Benny Agbayani. You tell a Mets fan that they just got some speculative guy. They're like, we got the son of Benny Agbayani. We got gold, man. Like, I don't know if it's going to be that fun for the Reds, but there's going to be some speculative talent that you can add by trading these guys, and the Reds cannot balk at that simply because he's not a top prospect.
Yeah, and specifically to the relief pitching, I mean, you know, every year there are relief pitchers to go out and get. That's probably the one spot that you don't have to worry about there being available talent. So, yeah, trade those guys, get some stuff for them, and you've got to retool this bullpen anyway. So you go retool this bullpen. Not really worried about that. The rest of this stuff, you know, outfield, catcher, starting pitcher, a little bit harder. So you have to be a little more strategic, but Nick Krall has an obligation to make these moves. To let Tyler Stephenson walk and get nothing in return, criminal. You know, not as criminal as the Angels.
He doesn't have 2 check marks. There's no way he's got.
There's no way. It's not as criminal as the Angels letting Shohei Ohtani walk and getting nothing in return, but still criminal letting Tyler Stephenson walk and getting nothing in return. Same with Brady Singer. You've got a talent that you're probably not going to be able to put the money towards re-signing based on what ownership's budget is. You've got this starting pitcher that is Mr. Reliable as far as health goes and being able to go out there and make his starts. That is something that's valuable to a contender, despite some of the struggles Brady Singer's had this year. I think the availability and the consistency trumps the fact that he had some problems in the beginning of the year, because his most recent starts have been great. Even if you look at his last start, we think as a Red, the defense let him down, and there is a very quick evaluation to be made there that, you know, Brady Singer pitched just fine. Everybody forgot how to play defense. So there's value there. You have an obligation to get something for that. So puts the ball back in Nick Krall's court, Jeff. Boy, I hope he doesn't have a 4-button phone.
I hope not. I hope he can trade with more teams than the Seattle Mariners, because that's going to be key. And just to kind of accentuate the point on Brady Singer, because I've seen some folks say, why not extend him? I mean, right now he's making $12.75 million this year. He is the second highest paid player on the team. I think people forget that. They see him as a guy who's probably making $7 or $8 million. No, he's almost making $13 million, which means you sign him to a contract extension, it's likely he's talking about $15 million a year. The Reds should not be in that market for a guy like Brady Singer, who really is like a 4th or 5th starter. He's a guy that gets you through the year. He's not a playoff starter. Like, they have guys that they can fill that position with next year. They don't need to worry about spending $15 million on Brady Singer when they can use that money elsewhere. That's why you're not going to sign him long term. But I know there's one guy that I think that the Reds should consider putting two check marks next to, assuming Nathaniel Lowe wants to do it, because I would love it if the Reds renewed Nathaniel Lowe for next season at the very least. We'll talk about that next. Before we get into the rest of today's show, it's time for the Everyday Icon, presented by Stance. As the official sock partner of Major League Baseball, Stance knows that greatness isn't built in a single moment. It's earned over time through consistency, preparation, and showing up every day. So each week, we're recognizing one player whose performance embodies those same qualities. Today's Everyday Icon has got to be Elly De La Cruz. Dude set another record, 3 doubles, 2 steals, in a game for the first time by any Cincinnati Reds player since 1900. And quite frankly, Elly is an everyday icon every day because he's an icon. So when you are looking for your everyday icon presented by Stance, you got to check out the Icon Collection. Premium comfort, performance, and durability. Designed for whatever your day brings. Use promo code LOCKEDON at checkout for 20% off your purchase. Stance, the official sock partner of Major League Baseball. Learn more at stance.com. Make baseball season more this year. On Kalshi, America's #1 prediction market platform, you can trade every single game. In fact, you can trade every single thing about baseball season. As we head into the trade deadline, you can trade on Hunter Greene's next team, which Kalshi right now actually has the Reds being his team to stay at a 92% chance. Even just a few hours ago, that was down to 50%. Guess they like that Bob Nightingale report. So trading at 92% over on Kalshi, which means if you put a $100 trade on Hunter Greene to stay a Red, you'll get $108 as a payout. On Kalshi, you're trading against peers in a live market, meaning there's no house. And as the probability changes, you can buy in and out of your position. Trade the draft pick, the game, the trade, and more over on Kalshi. Download the Kalshi app and use code LOCKEDON to get up to $500 in bonus credits when you trade $25. KALSHI. Kalshi. Trade on anything. 18 and up only. Restrictions and eligibility requirements apply. Event contract trading involves risk and may not be suitable for all investors. Kalshi products are not available in all jurisdictions. Prices, values, and available markets may differ from those mentioned. For more information, see kalshi.com/regulatory.
If you can't watch us here on YouTube, and boy, will you be missing out on things like Jeff and his sock puppets, you can get us on every single audio feed that's out there. If you're on the audio feed and you're wondering what is that about, go check out that ad break on the video. You can follow us on every single audio podcasting platform. If we're not on one you need us to be on, message Jeff, and if he can get his hands away from the sock puppets, he'll make it happen for you. Jeff, let's talk about, man, I don't know what was going on there. Let's talk about Nathaniel Lowe. I think you're right. If there is one of these expiring deals that at a reasonable price, maybe the Reds could bring back for another season, I'd be on board for Nate Lowe. He's been a tremendous value this year. There's some veteran leadership there. There has been some hot streaks there that the Reds have really needed in the moments that they got them. He is a right-handed pitcher crusher, man. That guy, he's very platoon heavy, but you get him out there against a right-handed pitcher, you get him out there with runners on base, he's going to give you an opportunity to score some runs.
Yeah, he is one of the best Reds hitters when it comes to runners in scoring position. There's 3 guys that have a better OPS than him. Obviously, Sal Stewart. Nobody is better at hitting with runners in scoring position than Sal Stewart on the team, and few are better in the league. Then you also have a very small sample size of Dane Myers. Tyler Stephenson is ahead of him, and then it's Nathaniel Lowe with an 831 OPS with runners in scoring position. And oh, by the way, if there's a runner on second or third, his on-base percentage ticks up to 397. He is a on-base machine, and that's something we talked a little bit about with Dane Myers the other day, that the Reds just don't have that. And while Nathaniel Lowe is remainder to only facing right-handed pitchers, he is woeful against left-handed pitchers. That's fine. That's this game. Like, this day and age, most teams are looking for a platoon advantage. He is a platoon advantage against right-handed pitchers, and those guys throw like 60. What was it? We looked at that one time, like 63% of the time, it's a right-handed pitcher on the mound. So you feel pretty good about 2/3 of the way with Nate Lowe on your team. He is a 1-year contract. There's not like an option. There's not a mutual option, player option, club option, whatever. 1 year, $1.75 million that he is making. And so I would love to see if the Reds could tack on a year or two more of that, albeit his performance probably dictates he's going to have a nice free agent market out there. I don't know how lucrative it's going to be, but I would like to see if the Reds could keep him around for a couple of more years, because he really provides the Reds a nice baseline whenever he's in the lineup.
Yeah, just to crystallize that platoon split, Jeff, just this year, we'll just look at this year. And the Reds have limited his opportunities against left-handed pitching. So that tells you how bad it is if they're not even willing to try, because they'll try anything around here. But his splits this year against right-handed pitching, his slash line is 272, 352, slugging 512. That split OPS plus puts him at 37% better than league average. 137 split OPS plus against lefties. Oh boy, help us. Slash line of 091, 130, 091 for a negative split OPS plus, negative 36. Yeah.
He's 136% worse than league average.
Below league average. So yeah, don't let Nate Lowe face lefties. Let's just sign him
like
up.
2 hits? Is it just 2 hits?
He has 2 hits, 3 RBI, 1 walk against.
At least he has a couple RBI. That's
yeah.
Yeah, I remembered I was gonna fire off a tweet the other day whenever Ke'Bryan Hayes was starting against a lefty. I'm just like, I bet Nate Lowe's OPS against lefties isn't as bad as Ke'Bryan Hayes' OPS overall. It is. It's worse. So okay, I guess that makes sense. But yeah, like
Ke'Bryan Hayes is 52% better against. Yeah, that's the split.
Yeah. Go Ke'Bryan.
You need to stop with all your hate on Ke'Bryan Hayes, because his burner account is going to get you.
Ke'Bryan. But when it comes to Nathaniel Lowe, I would like to see him stick around. If there's any of these expiring contracts, like there's probably going to be a team that comes calling and like, hey, look, we would like to add Nathaniel Lowe's bat to our lineup and his awesome platoon splits and his ability to hit with runners in scoring position. So I think that there's a chance they get a decent offer for him. But if they don't like what they're getting, like, see if you can extend him, because I think he would be a 2 check mark guy. I think he likes his time here. And there's a chance he still wants to hit free agency because he was coming here on a prove it deal anyway. But I'd like to see the Reds keep him for longer than what they've got him for. This 1-year deal has been nice. Like, I was thinking about this the other day, Steve, and let's kind of close on this. Had the Reds not signed Eugenio Suarez and just gotten Nate Lowe, would we like Nate Lowe as much as we do? Because I still think we would. I think we might like him better.
No, because they would have had to play him every day. And if they had to play him every day, he would have really been exposed.
Yeah, he would. It wouldn't have been as good. But he has looked very good. His career splits when it comes to like talking about, righty lefty doesn't necessarily point to such a bad split against lefties like this, but it's not like amazingly good. He is definitely your quintessential lefty that struggles on that platoon side, but against righties, man.
We didn't even talk about his speed. Did you see him burning down the first baseline to get that walk-off hit last night? I mean, my God.
I saw the 2 Stooges in the midfield for the Pirates going, where do I go with the ball? Where's the
I feel like if they had just started running towards first base when they feel that ground ball, they would have beat Nate Lowe to first base. Like, you didn't even need to throw it, but they did the one thing you couldn't do was just stand there and look at each other. I mean, literally,
they needed a double play.
No, but Jeff, you could have gotten up when Nate Lowe hit that ball. You could have gotten up, walked to the kitchen, poured yourself a drink, put some ice in it, cleaned up the counter, walked back to your seat, sat down, looked at the screen, and Nate Lowe still wouldn't have been at first base. I have never seen a guy have so much time to make a throw and nobody can make the throw. It's like they were like, Dear fans of Cincinnati, we know we've beat up on you over the last several years. We know we've kind of made things unfair. What we want to do right now is gift you a walk-off. Here you go. Here's your walk-off.
Where does walk-off beating out a double play? Where does walk-off fielder's choice rank to the balk-off? Like, obviously,
the balk-off. I was there. We were there, right?
Crazier,
you and I were there. You and I were there
like,
for the balk-off. That was pretty fun.
Yeah, that was a good walk-off. The walk-off was hilarious. Walk-off fielder's choice isn't that far behind about how ridiculous a walk-off it really is. But that's where we're going. We're going to end on that note. That's a fun note to end on. Thanks so much for checking out today's Locked On Reds podcast. We're going to be with you all throughout the weekend. If there are trades, we're hearing there's probably not going to be anything till Sunday night, maybe just all on Monday, because front offices like to procrastinate. I don't know. But we're going to be right here with you, breaking down each and every move that the Reds make. So make sure that you are subscribed on your favorite podcast app and right here on YouTube. Make sure you check out the Everydayer Club for an ad-free feed and so much more coming your way. Link is down in the description below. And also, make sure you go check out Locked On MLB, because Sully's got you covered all throughout the trade deadline. Mike Stanton and Brett Chansey on Back to the Bullpen got you covered all throughout the trade deadline. We're even going to have a trade deadline reaction bit to MLB Game Night on Monday, because actually a bit of a light slate of games on Monday, but MLB Game Night will be breaking down all the moves and stuff too. That's on Locked On MLB. 3 shows covering the league with 3 different angles. They're just like us, free and available everywhere you get your podcast. But as for Steve, Tim Daniel on the postcast, and myself, we will be Locked On Reds every single day.
I don't know what was happening with those socks, buddy.
I gotta find them. I don't know where they went.
Have you been sniffing glue? Like, what is going on over there? Are you eating crayons?
Socks. I mean,
what is happening?
Socks,